introduce Cynthia Sexton to everybody. She has some information for you about, so Cynthia, if you'll join us up here, please. And make sure you hit that donation bucket now if we want to do this next year. There you go, Cynthia.
Hi, Steve. Well, thank you so much for being so gracious and letting me have a chance to be here. This is my first Sexton.
Step up closer there. Speak up. Hear you.
This is my first Sexton reunion. And I'm the daughter of Grady Lee Sexton, who is the son of William Lee Sexton. So this is a real thrill for me. I was born in Maine, and I really haven't known anything about all of you. So my experience has been through research, and I started with the name Grady Lee Sexton and Willie Sexton, not knowing what journey that would take me on 10 years ago. My quest has been, once I learned about John Sexton, was to find his grave, and we did yesterday. I don't know how many of you have been to visit the gravesite, or if you know about the gravesite, but it was one of the most touching experiences. I don't know how much information you have, but as you might already know, John Sexton served 3 years, and during that time, he was very involved. He was actually in Valley Forge with George Washington, that horrible winter that they suffered so much. There, his brother Archibald died of a facial wound. John was so dilapidated and debilitated by his experience of what they suffered that winter. It was 2 months before he recovered. He was in the hospital that whole time. Once he recovered, of course, I would say, as a Sexton would, he immediately went back to service and continued to fight for the cause of freedom. I have found him a very inspiring person that I could be related to. So I wanted to have a chance to find the gravesite. I have an application in to become a member of the DAR. I couldn't go in through the Sexton line because we stop at Stanford Sexton. They want all the paperwork, although there's a family member who said she's going to try and rectify that so that those of you who want to join the DAR can do that through the Sexton line. It's been my mission to want to honor the family that I come from and the history that I've learned. All of it, for the most part, has been through the paperwork that I've gathered through the years. We were at the library in Tennessee. I grabbed my family and said, we're going to this reunion, and they were thrilled. So I wanted my children to have a chance to have the experience of being up in the mountains. So we have a cabin that we're staying in the Tennessee mountains. And it was actually hoping that I might be able to find this gravesite. We were at the library. I have a very tolerant family. I was at the library going through genealogical records. First thing yesterday morning. In Greenville, Tennessee, yeah. And when we walked in, even though I had spoken to them on the phone, I had never spoken to the head historian there. And he happened to be there yesterday, and he said, "Oh, John Sexton, I've been to his gravesite." So we then got the directions and headed up the mountain into the pucker brush. Unbelievably difficult to get there, but it's easy once you know where to go. We have a photograph of his gravesite. The descendants of George Washington's army at Valley Forge have put up a beautiful tombstone for him and have an embossed emblem in the tombstone itself. One of the things that showed up for me in my research was that I knew he was in Valley Forge, and I knew he'd been in the hospital and that he'd been sick, but I wasn't able to know what regiment he was in. All of his paperwork says he was in the 14th Regiment. I've read his story of all of the battles that he was in. However, this group has proven that for a period of time that winter, he was actually in the 10th Regiment, which was the 1st and the 10th were with George Washington. So you have an amazing history. And I hope that all of you will take that journey and pilgrimage up Viking Road, Viking Mountain Road, over to Pilgrim Road.
Lane.
Pilgrim Lane, and it will take you to the grave site. He's up there, and clearly not very many people go. The stone is a marble stone. It's quite beautiful. And if you want to see a picture of it, we have it on my iPad.
Where is he buried?
He's buried in what's called, what's the town?
Oh, you know, Greenville is pretty close to it. It's about 20 miles south of Greenville. It's right on the Tennessee, North Carolina border.
I have his land documents. Elijah, his son, must have inherited some land from him. Elijah then, who was killed in the Civil War, he died at Andersonville Prison. Yeah. Elijah was very close to John, who's one of his younger sons, and he then, before going into the service, had given Henry, his younger son, the land. So the land up there was where John was. The deed says it's on. They had land on both sides of Paint Creek. So when you ask where, it's Paint Creek.
Thank you.
Yeah, and like I said, we've got all that information. I'm happy to email anything I have if you'd like to have it. Maybe next year. I have so much research. It's unbelievable. Right now, it's in pieces of paper or mostly online. But anything that you'd like to have, but especially this photograph. I'd love to get this photograph of it because I know some of you are not going to be able to make it up that mountain. But you can come see. Thank you so much.